electric vehicle revolution. Now it's the target of the growing movement Tesla Takedown. Former fans of the snazzy cars now not so jazzed by the growing political presence of the billionaire behind the company.
It's safe to say Tesla is in trouble.
Elon Musk has had a rough few days.
Growing rage against Elon Musk.
His close relationship with Donald Trump hurting Tesla's car sales.
Shares in the electric vehicle juggernaut plunging 15% today, its steepest drop in 5 years. A dip that, now try and hold back your tears, would have set CEO Elon Musk back $12 billion.
What are you doing here? I'm washing dishes.
Musk losing an eye-watering $120 billion this year, with Tesla stocks down 55% from a record high of $1.5 trillion in December. Musk today appearing emotional when asked about the state of his business.
How are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty.
It comes after a tumultuous few months for the company. Tesla owners turning against the Trump-aligned mogul in what's been dubbed the Tesla Takedown movement.
I like everything about it, but it was just his name being attached to it that became the issue.
Their beef? Musk's alignment with Donald Trump as his head of government efficiency.
Doge. Perhaps you've heard of it.
I don't like it, and sometimes you got to have those line in the sand moments.
There was a point after World War II where people didn't want to be seen driving German cars, and we're seeing a repeat of that now. No progressive voter, who are primarily the people who would buy an EV, want to be associated with Elon Musk.
Some using stickers to express buyer's remorse, others turning out in droves for protests at dealerships, some of which have turned violent. Even celebs have been getting involved. Singer Sheryl Crow dumping her ride in outrage.
My parents always said you are who you hang out with. So long, Tesla.
I think the car you own...
Let me get into this sector. I'll watch Secret Service go crazy. Thank you.
I mean, if you actually drove it around, it would really be wild.
Beautiful. Wow.
I get into this other side.
That's beautiful. This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's computer. That's beautiful. Wow. No, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Mr. President talks about some of the violence.
As Elon Musk attempts to drastically cut the federal workforce, the tech mogul's electric car maker Tesla has come under fire. Literally, there have been at least 10 acts of vandalism against Tesla vehicles, dealerships, or charging stations in recent weeks, according to police and local reports, highlighting the backlash Musk has faced since taking on an unprecedented role in the federal government. In January, a 40-year-old woman threw a Molotov cocktail at a Cybertruck parked at a dealership in Colorado. Last week, more than half a dozen Tesla charging stations were intentionally set on fire near Boston, and in Oregon, police said that at least 7 shots were fired at a Tesla dealership there that morning, damaging 3 cars and shattering windows.
A wave of vandalism, arson, and gunfire incidents is hitting Tesla showrooms, charging stations, and electric vehicles across the US and beyond. The violence comes at a time when Elon Musk faces mounting criticism over his role as head of the US Department of Government Efficiency and as Tesla's stock takes a nosedive. The latest attack, A fire in Seattle where 4 Tesla Cybertrucks were torched late Sunday. Seattle fire officials confirmed they are investigating the incident as arson. Journalist Jonathan Coe captured the blaze on video, with the bystander heard saying, "With everything that's happening in America right now, the anti-Musk protests, the vandalism, this appears to be arson." Tesla CEO Elon Musk has now broken his silence, reacting to the news with a short but telling response on X, saying, and I quote, "This is crazy," end quote. The Seattle attack is just one in a string of violent incidents targeting Tesla. In Oregon, the FBI is assisting local police after gunshots were fired at a Tesla dealership last week. And in Colorado, a woman is facing federal charges for allegedly throwing Molotov cocktails at Teslas and spray painting Nazi cars on a showroom wall. In France, a suspected arson attack destroyed 12 Tesla vehicles. And in a separate video circulating online, individuals were seen using a sledgehammer to smash a Tesla in broad daylight. So why is Tesla suddenly a target? At the center of this backlash is Elon Musk himself. The billionaire's appointment by Donald Trump to lead Dodge has made him a controversial figure. His aggressive cuts to federal jobs and government programs have sparked outrage and mass protests. Many now see Tesla as a symbol of his influence and a target for their frustration. Dozens of protesters gathered outside a Tesla showroom in Palo Alto, California on Wednesday to condemn the electric car company's owner, Elon Musk, for his role in spending cuts under the new Donald Trump administration. Video shared on Facebook on Saturday showed long lines of people protesting SpaceX owner Elon Musk's involvement in the US government outside the company's LA factory. With law enforcement stepping in, Tesla remains in crisis mode. And for now, the question remains, will these attacks continue? Stay tuned for more updates.
Stock was hit hard with its steepest drop in 5 years. CEO Elon Musk's controversial role in the White House causing fallout for the company.
And for some who drive Teslas as well. Our Charlie DeMar spoke with a repair shop and drivers about the impact.
Oh, hey, oh, Elon Musk has got to go.
Weekend protests at the Chicago Gold Coast Tesla dealership were peaceful. In New York, there were arrests after a demonstration at a Tesla showroom. Last week in Oregon, the windows of a dealership were shattered by bullets. And in Massachusetts, a Tesla charging station went up in flames.
Us Tesla drivers are a little bit under attack.
Back in Chicago, Ed, who asked us not to use his last name, was parked on Lakeshore Drive last month when he says his blue Tesla was vandalized, with a clear message to Tesla's co-founder, Elon Musk.
And I look and I see in giant white spray painted letters, F Elon. You could probably fill in the blank. For what? It didn't affect Elon.
I've seen a lot of vandalism cases over the years, but this one might take the cake.
The profane graffiti was left out at Richard's Body Shop in Overland Park.
They're getting vandalized just for no reason, just because they're driving Tesla.
Owner Eddie Zipperstein says what happened to Ed with Tesla was not isolating. Tesla owner and now customer recently sent Zipperstein his video taken in Chicago. It shows a white Chevy hitting the bumper, backing up and then accelerating again, damaging the car. The driver gets out and walks away.
Chicago, yes, the parking, sometimes bumpers. That was not a kiss. That was intentional. That one was just sped back up and, rammed right into him intentionally.
The owner of this body shop says he's not only fixed vandalized Teslas, he's also been targeted for owning this.
If you're trying to make an impact or make a statement, do something more productive. Be an activist, get out there and, spread your message in a more positive way. Don't affect a random person and spray paint graffiti on their car.
Primetime told you last night that deranged leftists are vandalizing Teslas and firebombing dealerships across the country. Well, we just found out another dealership in Oregon was just shot up. Watch.
Roughly 40 protesters gathered here at the Southwest Cascade Avenue Tigard Tesla dealership for a protest. They're calling it the Rally to Restore Democracy. They were protesting against President Donald Trump, Elon Musk, the Doge cuts, and also the tariffs at the border. This protest is only hours after police report that this Tesla dealership was hit by multiple gunshot rounds overnight. Investigators believe at least 7 shots were fired, damaging 3 cars and shattering windows. 1 bullet went through an office wall and into a computer monitor. This incident comes after a string of vandalism attempts for Teslas and Tesla dealerships across the nation.
Primetime's also obtained new photos of the man who firebombed the Tesla dealership in Salem, Oregon, causing $500,000 worth of damage. Surveillance photos show him walking towards the Tesla dealership in a black burqa before chucking Molotov cocktails at the building. A red Tesla burst into flames. There you go. Then the suspect hurled a rock at the dealership window and shattered it. That's when more random projectiles were thrown, damaging other cars in the area. When investigators arrived on the scene, they found more Molotovs in the parking lot. Political.
The Democrats are not meeting the moment. The baby boomers, the civil rights generation, they knew what they do. They were willing to.
David Nathan dumped his Tesla before President Trump's inauguration. This month, he joined a protest outside a showroom in Boston.
I was not expecting that I'd be protesting what car I drove, or Musk, the person who made the car.
Tesla shares have tumbled more than 30% since Trump took office and Musk began wielding power. Investors worry Musk is damaging the Tesla brand.
It's been a disaster so far this year. After a historic run post-Trump winning presidency, and this has been, I think, a white-knuckle moment for Tesla shareholders.
But does this signal long-term problems for the company?
When you're selling mass market, politics is never good. Musk knows that, but he's not someone that's going to back away because of it. I mean, the bet for the ages continues to be Trump. Having a front row seat at the White House, what that means for autonomous and the broader vision, I think that's a huge part of the value of Tesla going forward.
Tesla owner Stephen Minnick says he has no plans to part ways with his Cybertruck, despite the likelihood of continuing attacks.
I'm a nice guy. I don't deserve this kind of vitriol. If you're mad, go protest whatever you're protesting. Keep your hands to yourselves.
Some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships, some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. And I've
So this whole time I've had no sound. You guys have heard nothing. So can you hear me now? I don't know why this keeps happening to me. Okay, well I'm gonna start posting these so you guys. I have the best audience in the world. They're awesome. Okay, so I really need to read the comment. No sound now. Was fine during the video report. Okay, no sound from hey Ernie. No sound. Okay, do you guys have sound now? I just need one thumbs up. No audio. No, how embarrassing. I'm such a Luddite. Sorry, but I still want a Tesla. No sound, no sound. All right, let's go again. Screw it. You're muted. Yeah, this thing keeps literally like I'm not blaming like hacks or anything like that. 10 minutes in when he gets through his monologue. Spot on. I'll take 10, 20. You guys are placing bets on when I find it. That is so funny. I actually feel very warmed by that you guys know me that well, so I appreciate it. Algorithm kind of people to watch. Okay. All right, guys, so let's start again. That's fine. It was good to warm up my vocals. All right, can you hear me now, though, before I start doing this? Because that'll be really embarrassing. I just need one. Okay, Ernie says yes. Excellent. Sound is good, good, good. All right, guys, so what did we just see there? You saw the video. What's happening? What are we looking at? We're looking at the same thing that was happening during BLM in 2020. We're looking at the same thing that was happening during Ruth Sent Us, those Roe v. Wade protests that seem to pop up out of nowhere. We're looking at the same type of protests around Ukraine, around vaccines. It's all the same stuff. Stop climate change, those kind of things. All the same thing. How do I know that? Well, that's easy. They're all organized on the same platforms. Action Network, Mobilize, and Open Collective. So we're going to go through the who, what, when, where, why, and how. But before we go into that, let me just say, as you're watching these videos, what I'm not seeing is outrage from the public. And I fear that now that Donald Trump's in, a lot of us might think, okay, well, he'll send the police or they'll handle it. No. There's not enough. They have not flushed out all the Marxists out of these organizations yet. We have to do it. We have to pretty much go out there and either counter-protest or go out there and get into these protests, get these people talking, get their faces on video, get their license plates, get everything. And then we need to just dox the hell out of them. Okay? And by the way, that's not illegal. If they're parked in a public place, there is no expectation of privacy. And I dare anyone to challenge me on that. They have a right to protest, absolutely. But when things turn violent, we've got a problem. And these protests aren't just like, oh, there's a protest. Oh, my bad, it turned violent. No, the protest is a cover. It's always been a cover. So you get a mass protest, and then you slip in your radicals or your soldiers. They cause the damage, and then it makes it impossible for the police to investigate. But all of these groups that are protesting at these Tesla sites, they know this is going to happen. And in some cases, I'm sure they make sure the right people get there. How do I know this? I have someone that I know on the, sorry, I'm still laughing from the microphone thing, but I'll continue on. I know someone, and a lot of people who might be considered left, who since about 2019, 18, Trump's first term, spend a lot of volunteer time at jails. And they've been responsible for getting a lot of people released from jail. And I can tell you right now, anyone who spends significant time in jail, A, they're probably there for a good reason, and B, they're not that smart. I know this because I got some family members who, are career mayhemists, like not drug dealers or anything like that. They just do stupid things and they end up in jail all the time, and they're kind of violent. But if you get them out and you say, hey, bro, check this out. We're going to do this protest. I'd love you to come and, just grab a sign and do what you want to do, but let's raise some hell. These guys will do it. Like, it's not that hard to get like recent inmates to go cause some mayhem. It's actually super easy. And through subsidiary of Arabella, there is a guy, and I can't think of his name right now, but it was part of an investigative project I did, where he did this cooking, teaching inmates how to be chefs and everything. And you'll see these people show up at protest. You'll see these very violent felons who just got released because they had a liberal judge show up at protests. Now, riddle me this. How long do you think it's going to take when there's booze, when there's like tailgate parties before these protests, and some counter protesters show up? It's not going to take long for violence to break out. That's why you saw so much violence in the BLM protests. You'd have the pre-show, the people with the signs singing their songs, and then by the time the lights went down, it's like the after party. It started getting really violent. Well, that's by design. There's all these programs. I'm going to show you one tonight where the left does their best to get these criminals out of jail, and it seems like they don't even care why they're in there. And a lot of these people doing these programs, they think they're being empathetic, and for some reason, the left doesn't seem to think criminals exist, until they're getting murdered or raped by one. But they get them out, and then they wonder why they stole their car. But if you mix these people up into a very kind of dramatic protest, these guys will, and I say guys, it's mainly guys, the male inmates or ex-cons, someone will always look at them the wrong way. It's hard to explain, but anyone who's had, that side of the family that has those kind of like troublemakers, they're the kind of guys that and trust me, I know, I've got siblings and cousins and nephews that are like this. If you look at them the wrong way, you're getting into a fight with them. Not me, but like some stranger. And God forbid you're wearing nice clothes, because you must be a Twinkie or something if you're wearing nice clothes and you think you're better than me. That's how they think. It's not hard to spin those people up. So they insert them into a lot of these protests, and then things go south. What we saw with one of those Tesla dealerships was an Antifa tactic, where they pierce the windows with rocks or bullets or a 12-gauge shotgun, and then throw a rock, and then someone else drives by, throws a Molotov cocktail. These are typical black bloc type of tactics. What we also saw with these protests is how quickly they were able to mobilize. Okay, so that's the who of it is several PACs, several groups, several NGOs that do all the same stuff. They do BLM, they do climate change, they do, Ruth Sent Us, Go to 6, like anti-life or pro-abortion, I guess I could say. They're even the same people that did #ceasefire, the pro-Hamas protests. You saw those pop right up. Okay, so that's them. Then the other people we have to look at. So we're on the who's doing this. Obviously, political soldiers or political activists or pros are doing this. I mean, these are well organized. The other people that you have to look at, and I'm not saying it's an or thing, I'm saying it's an and or thing, are short sellers. Now, short sellers, I can't see them organizing something like this. Those are the people that make money when a stock goes down on the market. But I can see them fanning the flames, because the more that stock goes down, the more they make money. So, for those who are street savvy, Wall Street savvy, I'd recommend anyone be on the lookout for big moves on the downside of the stock, because the stock is healthy, actually. The amount of debt that Tesla is able to hold is an indication of their health. Let me explain that. If a company, even in the midst of all this chaos and a huge sink in their stock price, is still allowed to carry like a large amount of debt, and I think they're at 68% debt to equity ratio, that's an indicator that the people that matter, the institutional investors, that being mutual funds, banks, everything, they know the stock's going to do great. Okay, they know long-term it's a good hold. So that's what I always look at, is the, debt to equity ratio. Stock's healthy. Don't, I mean, if you're a stockholder in this, just buy more stock. I mean, because Tesla's fine. So, but the people that make money on the downside have made a ton of money. Any short sellers have made a ton of money on this. So I can see them fanning the flames. And we have had cases where we've intercepted people who are doing something called short and distort, which is you short the stock and then you distort the news to try to drive the stock down. That happens a lot. That's an actual crime. We did an investigation for the Bloom dispensaries out in California, BLUM. And there was a guy who was actually on Hot Stocks and all these like small chat rooms. And he was putting out really good information, very believable, and driving the stock down because the company he worked for was shorting the stock. It was a Canadian company that was giving us talking points. So we busted the Canadian company. And then all of a sudden, this guy who was on these chat groups, he wasn't so smart anymore. And he was trying to sound smart, but it was pathetic. And he went down too. That was in thestreet.com. I'll post the link. That was a good case. So yeah, sometimes short sellers do really bad things to short a stock. But then also look at Elon Musk's competitors. Now, if you look at the timing of this comes right on the heels of the tariffs. There were some in January, but for the most part, right on the heels of the tariffs. Right on the heels of, well, let's just say it. The tax on Tesla got really crazy after Trump kicked old Zelensky with 2 Y's at the end of his name out of the White House. Not saying it's related, but we did have a cyber hack attack on X just the other night, and they did have Ukrainian IPs. Granted, that could be UPN to make it look Ukrainian, but still. So you got to look at all these different things happening at the same time. There seems to be, occurrence and then an action. But these protests against Tesla have gone way to the top of the meter, the danger meter, ever since the White House address and the Zelensky meeting. So it's just something to keep in mind. I don't have an answer. We're just starting to look at this tonight. And then so you got to look at their competitors. Any competitor, this is a competitor's dream. Okay, you were talking about a mass market type, vehicle. This is a competitor's dream to have this type of public sentiment going against Elon Musk and Tesla. And I've got to say, whoever is watching this and organizing these things, they really know their target audience, because they know after the last 4 years that these useful idiots, the ones you see out there on the street, they're really easy to spin up. Especially now, they feel so powerless because Trump's landslide victory and all these things, all their funding getting cut and dismantled, their entire reality being shown as nothing more than fraud and lies. They want to be in the streets. They want to feel like they're fighting back. But so it's really easy to spin them up. It's really easy to get them violent. Really easy to get desperate people violent. A lot of them are rich. I mean, a lot of them are out there on a Wednesday afternoon because they don't need to work or they're retired. But even those people will get violent, which is kind of funny if you've ever seen it. I had a 5-foot high elderly man attack me on my way to Aspen one time because I moved his wife's hat in the overhead. He came at me like a spider monkey. Let me just put it that way. But they will get violent. And once you get violence going in a mob, it will take over. So the people who are organizing these things, they know that. But also look at the news coverage. The news coverage has been more about the stock price than why, the group's attacking or anything like that. Like if it was responsible news, they might want to say, hey, how come most of these groups are like climate change groups, but they're attacking a company that makes electric vehicles? But they're not doing that. But they're focused on the stock price. Keep an eye on that. And then of course, the other who, like I said earlier, are the revolutionary defeatists. So what I want to do really quickly is just play that interview so I could get a drink of water and come back to this. We're going to go through as much as we can with the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And let me just say this, the why of why we need to get in there, collect the intel, disrupt these things as much as we can. because again, it will keep growing. If this type of aggression is not met with an equal amount of aggression, legal aggression, but if the people doing these violent protests have no one showing up to tell them it's wrong or counter-protest, they get more violent. They keep crossing that line, and we've seen it a dozen times. So we'll get back to that. But let me, what I want to do is pull this up. And if you didn't see the interview I posted on X the other day, then I highly recommend you tune into this. So let me just, this is Bradley Thayer. He'll kill me for using this image, but it was the only one I could find. I did some light edits here just to make the point, but this was him on Steve Bannon. And if you don't know who Bradley Thayer is, he's a very, very well-published PhD in communist history, basically. So I'm going to share this screen. Okay, here we go. And I'm just going to be right back.
This is my fifth such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stop crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way. So Democrats sitting before me, for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America? For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
Quickly, just take a minute or two. This concept, we say ideas have consequences. And last night, what you framed, you said, hey, Steve, there's actually they're being very strategic here. They're being, quite frankly, kind of disciplined. And they're following the discipline of Lenin put in with the Bolsheviks. Remember, the Bolsheviks were a very tiny party that took over Russia. And they took over Russia by a fierce internal discipline and take no prisoners. I mean, these people were some of the hardest folks in the world. Revolutionary defeatism. What is it, sir? And why did we see it on display last night in the nation's capital of the greatest republic in mankind's history, sir?
Yes, Steve. So Vladimir Lenin advanced the idea that the worse things were for the Russian people, for the Russian military, and for the Tsar's government, the better it was for the Revolutionary Party, for advancing revolutionary goals, the better it was for the Bolsheviks. So he said the worse, the better. So he did everything he could do in conjunction with his party, the Bolshevik Party, to undermine the Russian war effort in World War I and thwart, to the extent he was able, any Russian goal. So what we're seeing with, he wanted to make things as bad as possible for the Russian people so that the revolution would come about sooner. Well, what did we see last night? Well, the Democrats are really following that policy of immiseration. What they're trying to do is make things as bad as possible with the Obama administration and then the Biden administration. And we talked about the example of the open border policy, where we really don't know how many people came into the United States in the years of the open border, the support for the People's Republic of China, the weakening of the United States, the horrible withdrawal from Afghanistan. These are all policies, if you think about it strategically from that point of view of the Democratic Party, that this is really revolutionary defeatism. The Democrats are trying to do what they can to immiserate the American people, to advance their agenda, and President Trump is not having any of it. He's turning that on its head. He loves America, he loves the American people, and he's trying to make things better for the American people and thus make things much worse for the Democrats and for the Chinese Communist Party and other enemies of the United States. So what Trump is doing is brilliant. And what the Democrats are doing, when we think about it through a Leninist lens, right, not through the traditional American lens, because the Democrats just really seem to be, don't they, out of American political history and political culture. The way they behaved last night was just the latest example of that, right? What Al Green did was absolutely beyond the bounds of acceptable behavior. The fact that they had no reaction whatsoever to the Angel moms, to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., to the other poignant, the young man who's going to West Point, of course, and DJ Daniel. You had there at one place and one time two starkly different conceptions of the United States. One, Trump's, backed by the Republicans in the chamber and in the audience, strongly supporting that golden age for the United States, Americans who are invested in America and furthering and making life better for the American people, versus the revolutionary defeatists, right? That would be the Democrats who are doing what they can do not to have a golden age, but to immiserate the American people, just as Lenin would want for that revolutionary party. So in one place, one time, that's why this was historic, not just for Trump's address, but you had two visions of the United States on display there, and the American people spoke overwhelmingly. You've noted the polls that Trump's vision, the golden age of America, is what the American people want.
This is what they want.
Okay, so you heard that, and checking my sound, so make sure, I hate to do this to you guys, but please give me that thumbs up that you could hear me. I appreciate it. Okay, so that to me was a very, very powerful interview. I've read all of Bradley Thaier's books. I highly recommend him. I'd love to get him on the show. I could have had him on the show and I forgot to call him back a long time ago, so I'm going to try to rectify that. But what he's saying makes a lot of sense, right? Because we think, when we think of people we are trying to figure out, or we think of our enemies, whether they're foreign or domestic, as an investigator, it's a big trap to try to think that they think like you do. It's called mirror imaging in the intelligence community. It's the first thing I learned back in the early 90s to not do, because people are different. People are wired differently. And the goal should be to try to think through their mind when you're trying to figure out what their goal is. This has been a tough one for me because I see Marxism everywhere. They don't even know they're Marxists. But when I saw the State of the Union address, I was like, how's that possible? Like, I'd never seen anything like that before. And I think Bradley Thayer really captured it there. And that's why you have to march forward with like caution, but you have to march forward anyways, because they are marching forward. They want the destruction of this country, that level of suspects in the Tesla case. They want a great American company. And granted, he's not from America. And yes, I know he makes things in China, but the thing is, it's reflective of America. It is an American treasure, in my opinion, Tesla. And he's an amazing guy. I mean, he's done things that no one's been able to do, not even NASA. And that's something we have to protect, because we can't have things get so bad for Elon Musk that he says, you know what, I can't do the Doge thing anymore. I gotta take care of my family and my company. It's too dangerous. We can't have that, because who the hell's going to go into that position next? No one. And then we're going to be right back to what we've been dealing with our whole lifetimes, and that's fraud, waste, and abuse, and just getting used to paying higher and higher taxes and things never changing. Things are actually changing now. It might feel a little painful with the economy and the tariffs and all that, but just look to Argentina. Okay, look to Argentina. They're at an 8.9% surplus right now, even though they did a dip just like we are. And we're already seeing egg prices come down. That's a whole nother episode, why they came down. But so what he said there should tell everyone, like, they will not stop the enemies of this country unless we stop them. They will not stop unless we stop them. They're going to come at us with many, many vectors. Trust me, you're going to see the same people that are torching Tesla dealerships. Those same people, come spring, will be torching chicken farms. They'll be torching churches. They'll be torching anything that goes against the destruction of the American way of life. Mark my words, unless we stop them. And what does that mean? Well, that means something different to everyone. I'm never going to tell anyone what to do. I'll never tell anyone to do something illegal. But I will tell you this. You know yourself in the situation. You know what you have to do in a situation to protect those you love or protect your community. So I say march forward smartly, but effectively and aggressively. That's all I'll say on that. Okay, so we got through the who, what, when, where. The why, there's 3 whys. Again, destruction, short selling, and competitors. We haven't pinpointed the whys or the whos. Probably never will, but we can get close. So let me show you so far what I found. All right, so first group you want to look at, and we brought them up on the show before, is Indivisible. Okay, so this is Indivisible's mobilize.us website platform. Okay, so you can see here, if you go to mobilize with a z.us, you get a whole list of their events. Okay, so for instance, tomorrow, you can see here, anti-Trump Musk rally in Boston, Massachusetts. Let me blow this up so you can see it. Okay. See details. RSVT now, we know where it's going to be. Okay. We know everything about it. So there's that. Here are some events further away. So you could basically plan the counter to these things. What can you guys do? Whatever you're comfortable with. I mean, I'd love to get more counter protesters out there, but look, this is an investigative show. Personally, I'd rather have a bunch of you going out, putting on some fake, I don't know, dreadlocks or something, whatever the hell they wear these days, and making friends and keeping your microphone on or your camera on and collecting data and collecting names. You know, that's so when it turns violent, we can make sure that the people that need to get that. And I'm not talking about the police. I don't tend to operate that way. I tend to operate with, if I wanted to get this info to anyone, I'd get it to Elon Musk and then let him use his high-level contacts in the government to make an investigation happen. Because as you know, Cousin Ernie, who's on the chat, knows this. If you live in a blue state like we do, I live in 2 of them, police they're not going to do anything with your information. Okay, so you've got 2 places to send it: to the victim, which in this case is Tesla, or to the, to the internet, to post it publicly and call these people out. That's very effective. And you heard Trump say it, these people will go to jail, and he means business. So there's that. So you could see if you go to Mobilize, let me take you right back to the thing here. Okay. These are all the protests. And as you can see, they're standing up for free speech or walking out on Medicaid. They got the Trump rallies. They have Tampa Bay, you name it. I mean, it's just everywhere. And they're literally protesting everything that you can imagine. So just remember that. And by the way, this Indivisible, this is a very, very powerful organization. They get a lot of people going on here. And they're mobilizing a lot. I played some videos and some podcasts, but if you go to, there's several podcasts I'll list them for you. You should listen to what the enemy listens to. Don't listen to, like I listen to Steve Bannon's podcast. That's about it, because he is the most informed and he actually does research and he has the best guests. He's not interested in being a superstar. He wants people to do things. And I've met him. I think he's a great man. That's the only podcast that's worth my time anymore, except for my friends like JJ Carroll and Jason James and everyone else, and Emerald Robinson and my wife, Naomi Wolf. But aside from them, like, I don't want to listen to anyone else. I don't want to listen to other people's opinions about what's wrong with the world. We know what's wrong with the world. I want people to get information. Steve Bannon's a good source for that. I try to be, and get out there and do something with it. What can we do with it? Expose the individuals who are doing it. You know, it might not seem like a big deal to get that annoying grandmother who's at all of these rallies off the street, but that's one less soldier they have, believe me. So you could see, just, I'm scrolling while I'm talking, but you get a sense of this is very organized. They've really thought this through. So that is, again, the group is indivisible. They're using Mobilize Us, which is like a CRM platform, to kind of get the word out. These platforms will let you send emails out, hashtags, send your graphics for your t-shirts to the local Kinkos so your people can pick up the graphics and the signs. That's why these things are also coordinated. Okay, so there's that one. Now, the other one that we want to talk about is, here we go. These guys. The other group that I talked about is the Troublemakers. Yes, that's the actual name here. Okay. Very, very active in this. I'm officially a troublemaker now because I want intel. Not me, but someone, you get the deal. So this is our site, troublemakerscommunity.org. This is where you could find, again, they list out all of these things they're going to do. Now, what are their actions? These are their actions, right? Tesla takedown, there it is. Okay. Our only year in fundraising. Mature humans stand for mature forests again. That was 2024. Amazon Prime action. They're going against Amazon. Oh, look. They're trying to stop a climate catastrophe while they're burning lithium batteries in Teslas which run on EV. Just pointing this out because you can see these people are like the ADHD type of like protesters, but they are smart and they are organized, so don't underestimate them. But they protest everything under the sun. And this has the same flavor and the same hashtags as the ceasefire people did for the anti-Israeli protests after October 7th, or I should say pro-Hamas. Okay. What's another one? Okay, so another one, this is the big one. And actually, we will get into this in a second. Let me give you some information from our sponsors. Now, I'm going to read this. This is from the Wellness Company. They are one of our sponsors. And I'm reading this because I was just talking about how we get attacked. Okay, we get attacked on several vectors. I really like the Wellness Company because they're always thinking ahead like this. Like, we don't know if we'll get attacked on several vectors, but we do know we might lose access to basic medicine. We might get locked down and we can't get to the pharmacy. That's why I like the Wellness Company. But I'm going to read what one of the things that was written up, by our team here, and as a potential thing to think about. So, TWC, the medical kit weather modification. With Elon Musk's dedication to Doge, he will likely uncover the hidden spending on weather modification, which has played a major role in the decline of people's health, and this is true. The influx of sickness taking over America is not natural. We've all seen the trails in the sky, and most recently, bizarre fogs that are now proven to have Serratia marquescens. And I did talk to Peter Galuli about this, and it's apparently a real thing. He's the CEO of the Wellness Company. With the Wellness Company's medical emergency kit, as you can see right there, we have these in every house. You can tackle serious health concerns, avoid hospitalization, or until you see a doctor. This compact blue case is your portable urgent care, stocked with ivermectin, Z-Pak, amoxicillin, and 6 other essential prescription medications right at your fingertips. They also have a doxycycline, and it's almost tick season again, so I need to refill mine. You can literally order them from your couch in minutes. The process is fully digital. Their medical board created a guidebook that outlines common treatments for UTIs, strep throat, bacterial infections, respiratory illnesses, and more. What I like about this is even if there's not poison in the fog, it's so nice to like have that kit, like when I'm cutting wood or I'm mowing the lawn, and I get a tick, I got doxycycline, or I get a splinter, it gets an infection, there's amoxicillin, those type of things. Women get, urinary tract infections. There's amoxicillin for that. So all the things that you don't want to have to go to a doctor for all of these things. What's nice about the wellness company's medical emergency kit, they prescribe them for you in the legal way. You do talk to a doctor, you get a real legal prescription, not like some of these like Florida, other like kind of pill farms that I see a lot of influencers advertising for. This is like really good stuff. The doctors like Peter McCullough, Dr. Drew, Harvey Risch, and we have these. We use them constantly. Don't let illness catch you off guard. Order your kit now by heading to dailyclouthealth.com. You can see it up there on the screen, and use the code DailyClout to save up to 30% off and free shipping. Kits are available to U.S. residents only. Okay. So there is that. There's Spike Detox. They have everything. I'm really happy to see that they are putting, these are all this restful sleep stuff is great, by the way. They're putting up their supplements, and supplements are amazing because they will keep you from going to the doctor, and going to the doctor these days is a pain. But these are my favorite right here. If you kind of cruise down there on the supplements page, as you can see, my Bison trifecta is sold out. I like to think I had something to do with that. I am lucky enough where I have tons of Bison trifecta, but it's going to go quickly. So all of these things are fantastic products. They will make you healthy. You will feel good about yourself. The Bison trifecta, I go on about this all the time. I love it. I love it. I love it. This replaces your multivitamin. It literally makes you stronger. It literally gives you, I don't know, makes you strong like bull, I guess. It's amazing in every category of health for men and women. So, and women, don't worry, it's not going to make you look like a buffalo. So it's just going to make your everything stronger. And think about it. What did the Native Americans, the First Nation people, eat? They ate the heart, liver, and the kidney of the buffalo of their kills right away because they knew that would give them the strength to carry on and chase these suckers across hundreds of miles of plains. It does work. So try it out. Once they restock, I guess. I'll ask about that too. But all of these things, you just cannot go wrong. And anyone that knows anything about supplements knows that everything in these supplements these are good supplements. By the way, peppermint oil, if you're in a tick-infested area, you have a lot of mosquitoes, lemongrass, peppermint essential oil. I actually add that stuff to my body lotion, and I put it on every day so I don't get ticks and mosquito bites. It works really well. You could also take peppermint oil, put it in cotton balls, and put it in the corners of your house. It'll keep mice away. We have a lot of mice in upstate New York. And then their entire medical emergency kit series, the contagion kit, the medical emergency kit, travel emergency kit is a must-have, I think, for everyone, and so is the first aid kit. Check them all out. They have everything. I am getting this, but I'm going to ask if they have one in black because I just like all my tactical gear to be black. And we do have the radiation emergency kit. This is really good too because they're putting in a lot of towers, a lot of stuff that can actually expose you to radiation. There's a lot of radiation in the world. If you have a Geiger counter, or like they sell a lot of those Geiger counter type things online, just wave it around your neighborhood. It will shock you. And this is a new one. The kids emergency kit is awesome. It's not for kids to use, but it's tailored towards kids and all those little things they get sick on. It's good to have this, and you always know it's perfect for your children. So that is a sponsor. We'll get back to the other ones later. Fart. Someone's writing fart across the hell, man. Okay. So I'm getting spammed by some person called Milo is the best, but apparently Milo has some sort of a gastrointestinal problem. So Milo, with all these, he's like writing this over and over. So Milo, you should definitely get many of these supplements and the medical emergency kits because clearly you have a GI problem. and we could get you the help we need. But don't forget to use Daily Clout code to get your 10% off. Okay, so there is that. Brian, make Cousin Ernie a mod so we can clean up the chat, please. Yeah, I will. Let me get in there. Let me get in there right now, see if I could take care of that, because that's annoying and childish and stupid. Let me see here. Give me just a second. Actually, before I do that, let me go ahead. The other video I wanted to play for you guys is really explaining here what happens with Action Network and how they work. I won't play the whole interview. This is on Jim Hoff's Gateway Pundit. This is in reaction to the Ruth Sent Us protests. So let me see if this will pull up. Here we go. Give me a second. Get through the ads. Hold on. Maybe. Okay. And I'll be right back. Let me clean up the chat there.
Hello, everyone. This is Jim Hoff, and with the Gateway Pundit. Today, we are going to be interviewing Brian O'Shea. Brian's a friend. He does some research with us, and he has quite the resume. Brian is an investigative journalist. He works with Dr. Naomi Wolf, a friend of ours, with Daily Clout. Brian is the chief operating officer of Centurion Intelligence. That's his background. Brian has spent almost 30 years in the fields of military intelligence, U.S. government intelligence, competitive intelligence, in the private sector, private investigations, executive protection, etc. Amazing record, amazing resume you have, Brian. Thank you for joining us. And Brian also has spent a lot of time recently doing a lot of investigative work as a journalist. And that's how Brian and I got acquainted. But glad to have you, Brian.
Oh, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yes, we have a lot to talk about. And so today we were going to discuss something you brought up to my attention last week. And I thought this was very interesting. And just to give a little background, of course, a lot of our viewers, most people in the world know today that on October 7th, Hamas at 6:30 in the morning raided into southern Israel. They murdered 1,300 people now, around 1,300, maybe more. They raided a music festival, the Nova Festival, and slaughtered 300 young adults, some teens. They took 200 hostages, at least 50 from that Nova Festival. And today we still have no idea how these people are doing, that they have captured and that they brought back as hostages. Two Americans were released last week, which was a blessing. But this was one of the most atrocious crimes on humanity that we've seen in quite a while, certainly in the West. And it was very shocking to hear all the details when they did come out. What was interesting then, and this is what Brian brought to my attention, and that was then 11 days later, on Wednesday, October 18th, there's this massive rally at the U.S. Capitol. And it's Jewish Voice for Peace is the name of the organization. They marched down, I believe it was Constitution Avenue, or they were marching in the U.S. Capitol, Washington, D.C. They met outside. There was hundreds of people. Then they all went inside the Capitol. They ripped down any pro-Israel sign, at least one. They were screaming and chanting in the rotunda. They shut down the rotunda. They hung banners. They were harassing some of the representatives. They stormed into one. Well, they were inside one Senate hearing and temporarily shut that down until they were brought out of the Senate hearing. And it was really interesting to see that this was going on. Of course, because we saw what happened on January 6th, and we were told that that was the worst thing since Pearl Harbor. And now we see a similar demonstration, not to the extreme, but certainly very similar to what happened on January 6th. And here's a bunch of people who are harassing police, fighting with police. And where did this group come from? And that's when Brian brought to my attention that this group was organized online. And there's an easy, simple way for the left to organize today. And Brian is going to talk a little bit about it with us. But it's something that we need to understand. This is how the left is operating. Once again, I believe, they're light years ahead of us on the right. It's very organized. It's very simple. And it works for the left. So, Brian, please take over and tell us a little bit more about what you found out about this Jewish Voice for Peace.
Sure, and thank you. So right away, when I saw these pop up pro-Palestinian, anti-Israeli rallies right there at the Capitol, the first thing I did was I Googled it, because that's what I do, and tried to figure out who they are. Now, Jewish Voice for Peace has been around for a while. It's they've got all their 990s listed, of course, except for the latest one, which is a 404 code on the IRS page when you go there. Last time I checked. So they're a real organization. But what really caught my eye was how quickly they were able to organize a rally to get people to go to the, I believe it was the Cannon building over there at the Capitol, and do that sit-in. So when I looked at those rallies, I was looking at NPR, because I like to go into the enemy camp media-wise every now and then and see how they're messaging. And I noticed all these rallies, not just Washington, D.C., but across the world, and definitely across our country. And so when I looked into it, I admittedly had done a project during the Roe versus Wade pro-abortion or pro-choice rallies. So I kind of knew that there were these platforms out there that allow anyone to organize a rally complete with, getting your signs to where they need to get printed, getting the word out, getting hashtags out, sending out like MailChimp type email blasts to just get people to a location to start yelling and holding up their signs. When I saw the Jewish Voice for Peace rally, I didn't know it was them at first, and I got to thank the good people at NPR for specifying who they were. And so I went to this site called actionnetwork.org, and lo and behold, there's a Jewish Voice for Peace using actionnetwork.org, probably to get this rally together so quickly. I can't confirm that right now that this particular rally was, but looking further into their social media, I did realize that they had not only put out the word on social media about this rally, but also Boston, Portland, of course, and several other areas. And knowing the way these platforms work, right away I said, wow, that's looking just like BLM. It's looking just like Ruth Sent Us. And it was. And so that's what made me think of it, was the pre-printed signs and everyone had pre-printed T-shirts. I was like, wow, that's really something that they were able to get that so quickly in DC, where everyone has a rally or an event, and those places are usually booked up pretty good.
That's really interesting that you say that NPR then was right on top of it. And, we've seen that in our reporting over the years. It seems like for some reason, some of these leftist groups, and NPR certainly I would call a leftist media organization, it seems like they get tipped off on some of these things. And so it makes me wonder, obviously someone tipped them off. Maybe it was, I don't know, maybe there's a way to check on these protests as they're being created. Maybe that people are on a list. I think you can sign up to be on their list. Isn't that it? So maybe
Okay, so gonna jump in there so you don't have to hear the whole thing. So what I was talking about, this is in, I believe, 2022. But I became very, very interested in what was going on with the Jewish Voice for Peace, who was strangely protesting a pro-Palestinian type message. And by the way, I don't know what's going on with my lights. It's my automated lighting that seems to have a mind of its own. All right, so they were organizing on the Action Network under the hashtag ceasefire. So let me take you into that now. What I'll do, actually, I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see exactly how I'm doing it. So we're going to share a screen here, and all right. So here, what you want to do if you're investigating these groups is you're not going to find much on Twitter. You have to go to Blue Sky. Okay, I got my little profile here. And you'll find they literally announce all the things they're doing. So Rise and Resist is one of them, riseandresist.org. And you'll find out a lot of times, like these guys are using, for instance, mobilize.us. Okay, and they literally list their next marches. So this one's going to be Saturday, March 15th at 11 a.m. in Lafayette Street. In New York, New York. Okay, so as you can see, they list who endorses them. So this is not difficult. Ironically, there's Jewish Voice for Peace involved in the whatever they're doing this time. But you can see all of these USAID funded groups are all of their networks, and all of these networks overlap. So I recommend all of my fellow investigators who watch this show get a Blue Sky account so you can monitor it. Okay, it's very, very important. The other one is, let's go back into troublemakerscommunity.org here, and you'll see that here again they list everything that they're doing. So you could, if you go into the Tesla Takedown, go to read more, right? And it kind of lists out their actions. Oh, by the way, I also, every time I go to these sites, I have it in my extensions, Wayback Machine. I don't know if you can't see that, but get a Wayback Machine plugin and save the page. That way it's there forever. But as you can see, they plan everything, and you get a full list. I'm trying to find the list that I put on Twitter. Let me go there. This will shock you. If you didn't see my Twitter feed the other day, this is the Tesla Takedown map of recent and scheduled protests. Okay. All that popped up at the same time. So if you think this is just like the hippy dippy, baby boomers that we all get annoyed by, you're sorely mistaken, because this is a highly organized international attack against Elon Musk. We've got everything here, as you can see on the map. The Tesla Takedown, these are all the scheduled or recently acted upon protests. So we're going to go into Action Network here. So this is the Tesla Takedown Action Network page. Okay, and they say, sell your Teslas, dump your stock, join the picket lines. We're tanking Tesla's stock price to stop Musk. Stopping Musk will help save lives and protect our democracy. They sound crazy, but there's a brain behind all this. I don't know who that is yet, but there is a brain behind. This is all organized in Action Network. Now look at this list, okay? And I'll put this in the chat so you guys have it. And if you're on Rumble, you will be able to see this. Look for these things near you. Here's the full list. I just put it in Rumble. And I'll put it on the screen. I can't share it across platforms because I can't do that. I'm just one man. Okay, but you can see these are all the lists, all aimed at Elon Musk's Tesla. So again, that's an Action Network and Tesla protest, Tesla Okies resist. This is nationwide. This is worldwide. And you could see the Disruption Project and the Troublemakers have organized this. And just go and check these things out. Now, again, I always encourage people to look. I don't want to promote Blue Sky. I don't know who runs Blue Sky. I haven't looked into them, but that is literally where all the people who were on X ran to when Elon Musk took over. And they're kind of operating in their own echo chamber over there, so they kind of just say whatever's on their mind. It's pretty crazy. Tesla car dealership protest here. Like, let me look at that one, because one of these was very disturbing. Yeah, so these protests, if you could see, they're organized at 4 p.m. If someone can throw up in the chat, because I don't want to lose the page, when that Tesla dealership closes, that's interesting that they're doing it so late. But you have to save these things, and then as you go through them, you go to the bottom, you always find other groups. Okay, always find other groups. This is exactly how they did BLM. This is exactly how they did Ruth Sent Us. This is exactly how they did pro-Hamas protests. That's how they get out into the streets so quickly with all the same signage. And, that solves that mystery. So if we can't figure out the why and the who at the top of it, we can certainly make all of these slow-go or no-go areas for them. So we have to get out there. If you don't want to counter-protest, again, collect intel. Just make sure if you're running video, you're not talking in that video, because then it's hard to use in a court case. And you want to bring multiple phones. You want to bring a lithium charger, and, try, if you're out there to collect intel, you have to grin and bear a lot of stuff. You have to sometimes kind of not agree with them, but not try to argue with them, because if you start arguing with people, you're not going to get any intel. So let me take this question here, because this is a very good question. Who funds them? Well, that is a great question. So the way this works on these platforms is you go into the event organizer, and what happens here is who funds them. Well, that's very easy. All of the supporters. Okay, so this Action Network that you're seeing is here, I'll show you. The Action Network is basically the operational wing of Act Blue. So if you want to donate, for instance, it will take you to an Act Blue site, and that's how they do it. They're also under investigation. James O'Keefe is doing a great investigation on them right now, where they will get people to sign up for, let me see if I can pull one up here. They'll get people to sign up for these protests, or they can't go protest, right? So they will want to donate. Okay, and so people donate, and they'll do a recurring donation. Let me see here. Try the Disruption Project. Okay. So they want to donate. Hold on. Let me just do this. Okay, so this is Tesla Takedown. Go over here to donate. Okay, so you see it takes it to the Action Network. We were on the Troublemakers Tesla Takedown site, troublemakerscommunity.org, actions, Tesla Takedown. By the way, another thing to point out here is if you go to the URL at the top, if it says actions, it's probably Action Network, which means it's Act Blue. So now we're going to go over here to donate. Don't donate. Okay, share this tab instead. All right, so you go here, and they have these donate to support good trouble. I am a troublemaker. Really cute. They got a cat, all that. These people are not cute. These people are throwing Molotov cocktails. So let's say you want to contribute, right? You fill out your little form. Okay, and this form, what it's going to do, I'm not going to do it now, but it basically takes you to Act Blue, and then it goes through Act Blue. If you look at Act Blue, you'll see that they pretty much have been responsible for every single left-wing Marxist type of donation scheme out there. And so O'Keefe is investigating right now because they would sign people up and then it would just keep charging them. So this one poor old lady found out she donated $113,000 to Act Blue over the course of a year. And there was some terminology in Act Blue about a year ago that they were forced to change it, where they said your donation does not necessarily support the thing you donated to. They can use it for anything they want. Now, I want you to see this. This is the Action Network homepage. What do you notice? Oh, there it is. Oh, wait, is that, don't we know those people? Oh yeah, there they are. Okay, so this is, and what's really interesting about this is I don't think Action Network cares. Okay, I don't think they care. I think they're like a casino. They make money on the subscriptions, and you can sign up for a lot of different levels of subscriptions. So for instance, you go to get started here. Oh, look, see? Action Network plans, $15 a month, $125 a month. So let's see what we get for $15 a month. You could upload your list of protesters, custom wrappers, automated ladders. Basically, you're gamifying people's protest stuff. Fundraising pages without a tip jar. So to answer your question there, that's where a lot of fundraising comes in. $5 here, $10 there. Custom letter campaign, district matching, event campaign maps. This is a whole logistical wing. This is like, I mean, honestly, when I was in the military, this would be any commander's dream to have something like this. Allowing for multiple action sponsors. So basically, a multiple action sponsor is you can encourage people to donate to all your actions. An action is a protest. So some will have 3 actions. And the action will be, take down Tesla, Black Lives Matter, and stop climate warming. Okay. And sponsors will automatically be prompted to donate to all your actions. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, right? Like $5 here and there, but let's not forget that's how Obama, love him or hate him, he's the one that kind of really revolutionized campaign fundraising, because he won his first election by doing these nickel and dime type campaigns where everyone gave $1 or something like that. It's amazing to me that conservatives and MAGA, they don't have an equivalent of something like Action Network, and they really should. They really should. But that aside, so this, integrations with Act Blue, Salesforce, Zapier, and more. So anyone who's a tech person understands what a CRM is. It's a customer, a customer resource management, I think, something like that. But basically, it was invented by, things like Salesforce. So you put all your potential customers in there, all of their phone numbers, all that kind of thing. And it lets you send out things to potential customers, like the latest sales, everything. Well, they've taken that, put it on its head, and they've turned it into a way to get people in the street. And that's what's happening here. And that's why, it's so important that people focus on Action Network and Act Blue, because if you take down Act Blue, you take down Action Network. All right, let me look at some of these comments. I have my laptop, so my wife said get more depth in my things, so I got my laptop over there. So, all right, so who funds them? And then Canton says, I thought so. Yeah, it's nickel and dime stuff, but it adds up. There needs to be a serious forensic investigation of Act Blue. Absolutely, and I believe that is occurring right now. Plants Heal, there's lots of investigations needing special prosecutors, and I've seen nothing from Bondi indicating she's getting things done. We could get into that another time. I'm a little disappointed with her too, but you know what? They just started. We'll let her do her thing for now, but I will say this. There's a guy named Dr. Henry Ely. He's a good friend of mine, and we used basically using a grand jury system in this country is a way for citizens to activate investigations and to prompt people like Pam Bondi to investigate certain things. So what does a grand jury do? A grand jury investigation, if it's impaneled, they're state by state, they will do an investigation and they will find a person guilty or innocent of charges. Doesn't mean they can sentence them. They can't, because it's like the citizen grand jury. But it's hard for a prosecutor to say, no, they're not going to look into that or investigate that if a grand jury says, oh, yeah, this person's really guilty. So grand juries, I encourage everyone to get smart on grand juries. If you really want to be a true populist, nationalist, patriot who's exercising all your rights, the grand jury is one of the most underused things in this country, and I encourage everyone to get smart on the grand jury. You can reach out to me, and I have some literature on that. I think much of the money comes from somewhere else, not legit donors. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. So a lot comes from legit donors that don't know they're donors, and those are called Smurfs. Okay, so a Smurf is someone who gave their credit card to give like a $5 donation. Well, ActBlue is keeping that credit card and putting them on monthly donations. And so these Smurfs were basically donating and not even realizing it. Where do they get the name Smurfs? Smurfs comes from the drug traffickers that the cartels would use, where they'd get like ladies to be mules for drugs, and they would dye their hair blue so they could always keep track of them visually. That's where the Smurf thing came from. Well, Smurfs in what we're talking about, Smurfs are unwitting donors to a lot of these campaigns. But you bring up a good point. I say it later on in that interview I just played, how the danger of something like ActBlue is the fact that anyone can use it. Okay, so I've gone through this site a million times. I've signed up for this site. I attend their webinars to learn more about them. They don't really care where you're from. So think about, for instance, warfare. Okay, in warfare, one of the first things, you scout things out, you collect intel, but then when you're getting ready to attack, you don't just send in your infantry, right? You send in artillery. You want to confuse the enemy, dishearten the enemy. You just hammer them. Okay, what does artillery do? Artillery causes destruction, causes chaos, causes death, sets cities on fire. What do violent protests do? The same thing. So if you think about ActBlue in the framework of war, someone in a CCP cubicle, the Chinese Communist Party cubicle, can take their credit card for, $15 a month, $125 a month, and pretty much get a protest going anywhere they want in the world. And then all they have to do is send a couple irregulars or rabble-rousers or trained covert influence operators into that crowd to really really turn it violent. Now people say, well, how would they do that? How many Chinese Communist Party people are here? Well, a lot, because we had open borders, and there's about 80,000 of them from the Chinese army that are in this country now that have not been deported, and we don't know where the hell they are. So this is a very dangerous thing, and you're going to see this escalate as the Trump administration and Elon Musk start really piercing and hitting these primary targets, these very critical targets like USAID. They're going to get more violent. They're going to want to do that Carlos Maguire thing, Carlos the Jackal thing, where they force Trump to impose martial law to get the country to hate him, because the country loves him right now. Like 70-80% of the country, based on the polls, kind of, I would say love him, but are in favor of what he's doing. Definitely that number for deportations. So when rats get desperate, they get very vicious, and that's something you can imagine will happen. And let's not forget, too, that I really am very, very worried about Ukrainian terrorism. Not going to lie to you. And the scary part, let me see if I can pull this up, but Revolver, great news organization, they had a great article about Ukrainian terrorism up, that if they don't get what they want, they may cause terror. In this hypothetical, I have no proof of this. They may commit acts of terrorism on our land, so they can blame the Russians. And and let me just see if I can pull this up because this is a very important article. So that's something to keep in mind. And they could use something like Act Blue to start a pro-Ukraine rally in our major cities and then insert some of their people in there and make it violent. So, there's that. So, these kind of CRMs really should be, I don't know how you shut them down legally, but they should really be scrutinized and possibly limit their use, okay, or increase their vetting responsibility of their users, because there seems to be no vetting responsibility currently. Like if you look at this, get started with our free tools. So let's get started, right? You can sign up, okay, and you're in there. I won't do it now because I've signed up under multiple names. You may have seen one earlier. That's an expired one, but yeah. And I want to point this out too. The enterprise, you have to call sales for that. But look at what you get with enterprise. Support for large contact lists. Customization to ensure that Action Network fits into your tech ecosystem smoothly. Custom onboarding and training. So you can actually make force multipliers with that one. You can train multiple activist organizers through the enterprise pricing and have multiple actions, as they call each event, going at the same time. So it's really something to consider. And let me just show you some of the tools here. You got organized supporters, right? Let's take a look at that. Action Builder is a new tool from the ground up for organizing leadership. This is just a sales tool, guys. This is, if you ever use Salesforce, this is exactly the same thing. But as you can see, it's a tool designed for organizers on the go, giving them needed information at their fingertips to grow power and win real change. Okay, so they load their contact lists up, or people, they actually do provide you contact lists if at the enterprise level. And you can pretty much, that's why I call it like rent to write. You could pretty much get anything going anywhere, anytime you want. I mean, this thing is it's an organizer's dream, but it's being used right now by people who want to cause violence. Okay, and have before, and now they're doing it to Elon Musk, but before it was like Israelis and Jewish students at Columbia and NYU, Republicans or conservatives or non-BLM supporters. I mean, there's so much here. There's so much here that we can't go through it tonight. I keep signing up for a demo. I think they're on to me. I can't get the demo yet, but I'll get my demo. But if any of you guys get the demo, please share it with me. But I think they've grown wise to who I am. That's why I'm engaging all of you to hopefully get out there and flood the zone and get everything on these guys you can. So yeah, we don't need to go through all that. But you see what I mean, though? Like, think about it. Like, you don't need artillery units. You just need Action Network. And we saw the results of Action Network and the BLM riots. There they are right there. Boom. Okay, look at that. Canadian Labour Congress. Oh, how interesting. There's so many here. And this was actually, some reports came out today that George Soros has put a lot of money into Action Network, which is part of the Act Blue network. And by the way, guys, tools to mobilize supporters. Turn supporters into effective advocates. Book a demo. They have it all. And I did get a demo one time. I've got to find it. But basically, they'll give you protesters. Okay? They will give you protesters to show up at your events. I think they call them advisors, but they will give you protesters. So this is truly a rent-a-riot type thing. That's Action Network for you. So let me pop off that. All right. So what are some of the other groups? Now, when I start an investigation like this, the very first thing I do is I go to Google, of course, and I look for whichever media outlet seems the most favorable of these horrible things happening. Before I go there, let me go into some of the comments. Yes, I have two kinds of glasses here. Okay, so Plants Heal says cognitive warfare. Yes, except the cognitive warfare here is being used against their own supporters to keep them riled up. Highly recommend a book, actually, Plants Heal, and that's a great thing to bring up. There's a book my wife wrote the forward to. I didn't know she wrote the forward to until I was listening to it on Audible. But there is a book by a doctor from Germany called The Indoctrinated Brain. Guys, I'm telling you, you read this book, it will blow your mind. Let me see here. I'm just going to put it up on the screen. Nils. Hey, Cousin Ernie. I've come a long way from like doing all this production myself, right? My cousin Ernie's always on the show, and I'm always glad to see him here. He may have gone to sleep by now, though, because I started late. But let me share this so you can see it. Planseal, and Planseal, by the way, thanks for joining. And Planseal, I have a lot of knowledge on covert influence and what people call psyops from my past work in the U.S. government as a contractor for many, many years in two different agencies. And if you go through my tweets, you kind of see I kind of touch on them, but I can't really say things all the time that I want to say. So I do my best to kind of paint that picture as much as I can. But yeah, for all of, if everyone's wondering why some people act so crazy, highly recommend you get this book. And Michael Nels, if you get this or you hear this, please get on my show. You've got to explain this stuff. Throughout the world, mental capacity is declining, especially among young people, while depression rates are rising dramatically. Meanwhile, 1 in 40 men and women suffer from Alzheimer's. I didn't know that many. From Alzheimer's, and the age of onset is falling rapidly. But the causes are not being eliminated, quite the opposite. Can this just be a coincidence? The indoctrinated brain introduces a large, unknown, powerful neurobiological mechanism whose externally induced dysfunction underlies these catastrophic events. Michael Nels, medical doctor and internationally renowned molecular geneticist, lays out a shattering chain of circumstantial events of evidence indicating that behind these numerous negative influence lies a targeted, masterfully executed attack on our individuality. He points out how the raging wars against viruses, about climate change, or over national borders are more likely intended than not fundamentally providing the platform for such an offensive against the human brain that is steadily changing our being and is aimed at depriving us of our ability to think for ourselves. So, but it's not too late. By exposing these brain-damaging processes and describing countermeasures that anyone can take, Nels brings light and hope to this fateful chapter in human history. Nothing less will be decided than the question of whether our species can retain its humanity and its creative power, or whether it will lose them irretrievably. Again, I've never met Michael Nels, but I've read the book twice, and it's a great book. And I'm only helping his sales. We get nothing from this, even though you can see my wife wrote the forward. Highly recommend this, especially for you, Planseal, because you're clearly interested. Guys, this book, you don't need, and it actually is written to the layman like me. I don't know anything about neuro anything, but I read this thing twice. It's a page turner, unfortunately. Thank you, Naomi. I'm so grateful for all you're doing. Thank you so much. Well, thanks, Zoe. I will pass that along to her. She's currently overseas right now, but I will pass her your message. But don't forget to go to dailyclout.io and make sure you pay attention to her shows. And yeah, here we go. Yeah, go to dailyclout.io. There we go, right there. And sign up for the newsletters and everything. Everything's free. There's no strings attached, and we don't spam you. She appreciates that. I'll make sure she gets your message. All right. Let me see. What are the odds that we can make peace with Russia? Well, Planseal, I'm not going to get too deep into that. I think the odds are better at making peace with Russia. We're not at war with Russia. It's Ukraine that needs to make peace with Russia. I just get the distinct feeling that Ukraine wants this war to continue. By Ukraine, I mean Zelensky, the EU, and the UK. I'm going to do a show on this. I went in deep on this. I was just over in the UK talking to a lot of people that do not like Starmer over there at Oxford. I believe that the UK government has a vast amount of their pension funds invested in the redevelopment of Ukraine, hence their saber rattling. Even though the UK army right now is horribly small for the amount of boasting they're doing, and that's not a reflection on the British people. I love the British people, tons of friends there, and I love working with the British Army when I was in the military. But Starmer he's writing checks he just can't cash, and I would say even the EU is. So I don't think it's a question of can we make peace with Russia. I think it's a question of can Ukraine, the EU, and the UK accept peace and let go of their investments? That's what I think. But that's just one man's opinion. I could be wrong. Yeah, actually, so, Cat Nadu, thanks for joining in. Soros got a lot of money from USAID. Someone did a report on that. Yes, that's true. But also that he used our government to fund other NGOs that were favorable to the direction he wants to take our country, which is into chaos, so that it can be controlled, reformed and reorganized in a way that favors a globalist model that ultimately profits Soros. The sun will come up if I explain everything I know about that first. But you're spot on. Stay on that. And Cat Nandu, like I always say, if you've got really good stuff and it's sourced, send it to me and I will put it on here. Or if you want to get on camera, put you on here as well, as long as it's well sourced. Soros funding judges should be a crime. Yeah, honestly, I think we should revoke that guy's dual citizenship and kick him the hell out of this country. And I think if we can tie him to human rights violations, we can prosecute him under the Magnitsky Act, which, don't get me started on Bill Browder, who formed the Magnitsky Act, but might as well use the enemy's weapons against them, because the Magnitsky Act would prohibit Soros from using the American banking system, which would be devastating for him. So that guy is... He's actually mentioned in the Chinese Communist Party's unrestricted warfare as a master in using financial warfare to topple countries. It's amazing. Ernie says, nope. Don't know what that means, Ernie, but I hear you, buddy. I posit the schools and university are implanting cognitive distortions in the minds of the students. Totally agree with you. I also think devices are a big problem with it. A lot of the apps are a problem with it. Like, have you guys ever gone onto TikTok? I haven't put it on my phone, but I spent like what was going to be an hour looking at TikTok because I was pulling all these Harry Sisson clips. And honestly, like, it was weird because there's nothing really interesting on that bunch of kind of stupid stuff, I thought. But I found myself watching a movie and wanting to get back on TikTok. It's weirdly addictive. So I immediately just made sure all that stuff was off my computer. But can you imagine a young person? I have a 13-year-old son getting on TikTok and not knowing why they want to be on TikTok. Like me as an adult, I felt like when I wasn't on TikTok, I was missing something. It was crazy. And there's a lot of studies saying it's digital fentanyl and it's got weird addictive things for the brain. And that's why I want to get Michael Nels on here to talk about TikTok. It's really, it's a really scary tool. And I have noticed, like, I stopped letting my son use his phone all the time because I couldn't really have an interesting conversation with him. If he's on it, like, he could be on his computer, that's fine. But like, for some reason, when he's on his phone, he's a smart kid and he just didn't make sense. Like, he wasn't interested in anything. He had nothing interesting to say, and he's a very interesting guy. So I banned it. And within hours, he was the kid I knew again. So I totally agree with you on that. And a lot of the schools right now have kids on these iPads that they sign in at school. So they're on these devices all day long. I think it's horribly bad for them. I think we need to go back to a chalkboard and tablets and writing things down. Hell, maybe even a trapper keeper. But yeah, it's bad. I totally agree with you. Does he offer solutions for these problems? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Get the book and definitely. Plus, you're going to come visit me anyway, Cousin Ernie. So get the book and we'll talk about it. Have some beers. Sounds good. All right. So 100%. Yeah, totally agree with you. Good evening, Brian. Hey, Blue Wolf. Good to see you. Blue Wolf, I owe you a phone call. I will call you or call me anytime. I think you have my number. If not, I will call you. I did get your email. I won't go into it because it's private, but I will say those are Naomi's contacts, not mine. So I will pass that to her. She's been overseas, so it's been hard to. I limit my communications email wise unless it's like very related to her business or her kids or something. So, but I have not forgotten what you sent me, and it's if you could do me a favor though, Blue Wolf, and I'll stop doing the inside conversation with me and Blue Wolf. The email you sent me, just cut out all the stuff, which was really cool that you wrote to me and, how you got to the point in the history. Just kind of like bulletize, like what you need, what you're trying to do, and what you hope we can help you with. And that'll be a lot easier because a lot of people won't have time to read all of that very important information, but then I'll have it on background in case they need it. So I will try to connect you with those people, but I can't promise you, but I'll do my best. So I haven't forgotten you. Okay, is it distribution through the chemtrail? I've heard things like that. Now, I'm not a chemtrail person. I don't follow that at all. That's Naomi follows a lot of that. I don't, and there's a lot to be said about it. I just haven't dove into that because I can't open up another line of inquiry. Naomi tends to look at the more strategic things. I look at the more tactical threats. So definitely follow her work. And there is a guy, Ernie, anyone, if I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy here, but if you are on X, here's a really good follow for you. Let me pull him up. I think his name's Loggerhead. We've followed each other for a while and he's always trying to get me involved. Yeah, this guy here. So if you're on X, follow Loggerhead and JD Chantel at Loggerhead. There we go. Yeah, follow. This is a good follow, a really good follow. And he goes deep on these things and it's good research. It's just, for me, I can't really get into it, but reach out to Loggerhead. He's sometimes on the in the audience, but and he has geoengineeringwatch.org, and I'd recommend that as well. You can learn a lot on this one. So they collect everything. You could submit photos and they're tracking all this stuff. And I got to say, it's quite compelling. It's quite compelling and it's well sourced. So that is a good shout out for them. Geoengineeringwatch.org. Geoengineeringwatch.org. And again, that awesome follow is Mr. Loggerhead. So that is at Loggerhead _. Okay. Just to answer that question. All right. Blue Wolf says, hey, Cousin Ernie. Evening, Blue Wolf. Okay. Oh my God, Browder. Oh, yes, Browder. I want to do a whole show on him. I got to be careful though, because the man hates me. He literally hates me. I was responsible for getting him a nice big fat federal subpoena in Aspen back in 2012. And yeah, it's a long story, but there's a lot that guy's not saying. Soros is banned from many countries. He is. You're right. Brian starts about 1400. There is no volume, and no, it is not an issue on my end. Wait. Please tell me I have volume now. If I've been talking all this time with no volume, I'm going to cry. Okay, you guys can hear me, right? Yes? Okay, good. I'm going to have PTSD about this volume thing. It's the second time. Brian starts at about 1400. There's no volume. Yes, can hear you now, perhaps. I don't want to believe I'm being hacked, but ever since I started bringing up Browder and Action Network, I've had nothing but problems. Right on, Brian. I would also add Bill Gates to this. Yeah, I mean, Blue Wolf, I don't add Bill Gates to the list. Let's just assume he is, the paper the list is written on, because honestly, like, everything's attached to Bill Gates. And he's a bad person and he's got his hands behind anything, but you could throw a rock and hit something he's attached to. So I find it kind of muddles up any research. I like to start at the local level and work my way up. But yeah, Bill Gates, we've gone so deep on him. And it's just that I try to avoid mentioning Bill Gates until I have to when I'm presenting things, because you can lose a lot of people just because he's so bad that he's literally like if evil was the air, that'd be Bill Gates. Bill Gates would be oxygen. So he's everywhere. So let me see. Have you watched Ukraine on Fire? I've watched them getting pummeled by the Russians. I'm not surprised the Russians did that. I don't blame them. That's what I would do if I were the Russians, right or wrong. I mean, why not? I believe at this point there's enough to put together for criminal charges. Well, I believe technically there's enough to put together criminal charges. It's just who's going to take the case, who will accept the case. It's one thing to get someone to charge someone. It's another thing to get a court to take the case. So we'll see. But I always say, Blue Wolf, pick off their foot soldiers. You know, I always say if there's a dragon, start with its toenails and work your way up, because a dragon without feet and wings is just a worm. Zoe Lakota, I can hear you now, starting about 35 minutes in. Oh, okay, yeah. Early on, yes, I did my whole monologue without any sound. Gotcha. Copy on that will do. Thanks so much, Brian. Good. All right. Excellent. Loud and clear for hours. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Joe. And thanks. Welcome to the show. I'm outraged. I saw it and knew immediately what was happening. Just Musk running our government would be a huge red flag that a republic no longer resists. I don't think Musk is running our government. I think he's advising, but he has no real... I mean, he has access to things, but me and my wife differ on this. But I worked in the intelligence community. I know the way those systems work. And I'm probably going to debate with her on her own show here pretty soon. And let's not forget who's been running our country. A guy that put a bunch of 3,500 boxes of classified information in his Corvette in his garage. But it was locked, so he said that's okay. I don't think what's happening with Doge is perfect or how it's being handled, but like Voltaire said, perfect is the enemy of good. So we're further along than we ever would have been without Musk. Keep an eye on him, sure. I think we should keep an eye on everyone who works for us, and the president on down, they all work for us, just like you keep an eye on a contractor. But right now, what he's doing is working for me, so I'm not going to get in his way. But I, of course, monitor, just like I'd monitor anyone. If you have a good carpenter, you don't want to leave him at your summer house and come back 6 weeks later and hope he did a good job. No, you want to be checking on him all the time. Anyone who's been a contractor or a consultant knows you do your best work for those clients that are constantly checking your work. And that's what we have to do. And there's nothing wrong with questioning what Elon Musk is doing or having them give answers. And they can be better on the messaging for Doge in terms of like what he has access to and all that. But Elon Musk is certainly not running our government. Has a lot of influence, but if you've watched Trump many decades, like many of us have, you have a lot of influence, or it seems like you do, but at the end of the day, Trump's making the decisions. He's not a fool. So I hear you, and definitely something to monitor, Zoe, but again, I don't think Elon Musk is running anything. Plus, keep in mind, too, the other agency had said, hey, wait, slow down. This guy can't fire our employees, and they put the kibosh on that. So, they're kind of feeling it out. We've never been here before, and there will be some toes stepped on and some things broken. But so far, I think the amount we've gotten from Elon far outweighs any of the hiccups along the way. But it's a valid point, and we always have to monitor the people that work for us. So thanks for bringing that up, definitely. Ukraine on Fire. Oh, okay, so name of a documentary. Plant Sale, I will definitely watch it. I would also read Brandon Weichhart's book called A Catastrophe of Our Own Making by Brandon Weichart. He's a regular guest on the show. His books are excellent. We call him the Rain Man of geopolitics. There's not many people that know as much as he does on many situations. Yeah, a disaster of our own making. That's it. Let me share the screen with you. Brandon is a good dude. I really like Brandon a lot. And he kind of transcends all sorts of different geopolitical things. Like, he just knows so much. So this is the book. I highly recommend it. I also recommend this one here. Will scare the hell out of you. They even have a pig man they made over there in China. It's crazy. All right, let me see here. Okay, well, I'll put this up because I'm going to disagree with it, but I'll put it up because he took the time to write it. At Daily Clout, he's talking to me. Children were killed by assault weapons at Sandy Hook. We need to ban assault weapons. Do you know that more children were, like 3,400 children were killed by drowning, and many other things? So it doesn't matter what you ban. They're trying to ban sharp knives in the UK right now. So banning a certain weapon doesn't make a difference. Okay, we'll never see eye to eye in this. I can tell by the way you wrote this with all those capitals. But again, you know, banning assault weapons. What are you gonna do? You're gonna ban everything that kills children, cars, water, the RSV vaccine. I mean, what are you gonna ban? Everything? That's the thing. It's not the tool, it's the person. And like I said, they have a move right now to have like blunt knives in UK because they have so many stabbing deaths. They don't have assault weapons over there. They have a ton of deaths by stabbing. Here's one thing you can do is, really start looking into all of the psychotropic drugs that are pushed onto our population that seem to make people absolutely insane. Like that girl who was transitioning that shot up that Christian elementary school down south. They never talked about her. So yeah, there's a lot of problems. My heart goes out to those parents of those children. I'm a father myself. But when you start banning things, those very things that help us protect the freedom we have, we just become another third world shithole. So I totally disagree with you, but I respect the fact that you came on here and stated your opinion, and you are always welcome to talk about this. We can do a show on weapons and statistics and all that. I am a staunch defender of the Second Amendment, and I will never, ever, ever advocate for the banning of assault weapons. And by the way, it's kind of, I got to say this. If you've ever fired an AR-15 or M4A1, that's the military version. By the way, everyone, AR-15 civilian version. There are no AR-15s in the military. They're called M4s. So the one thing they did is like they banned so for instance, they banned semi-automatic weapons in New York unless you have a special permit. Okay, they banned semi-auto. So like I went to go buy a 22 and I bought it the day before the ban. I didn't need another 22. Tiny little bullet. And they make it very difficult in New York State now to get a semi-automatic. Semi-automatic, for those that don't know, are those that you got to keep pressing the trigger, but it will fire every time you press. You don't have to like redo the thing every time. But you know what they didn't ban? Was semi-automatic 12 gauges, which can blow me in half, literally, or blow a hole in me, the size of this shelving behind me. They didn't ban those. So I'm not really sure what's going on with the assault weapons. It's my opinion that it is a way to put assault weapons in the hands of, I don't know, some sort of globalist army. It's really strange that like the Biden administration is talking about banning assault weapons, yet they delivered pallets and pallets of them to that they left for the Taliban while we had open borders. And now you're going to see a huge influx of military grade assault weapons that were given to the black market by the Biden administration and allowed to come to this country through that wide open border. Or some of the weapons we gave to Ukraine, like half of them in 2023. Financial Times reported that half of the weapons we gave to Ukraine in 2023 ended up on the European black market. So I don't see assault weapons as a problem. I see corruption as the problem. Okay, because you want to ban assault weapons in this country? Fine, ban them. But the rest of the world's running around with assault weapons right now. At least the criminal elements are, which far outweigh the law-abiding. Sorry, man. I'm not yelling at you. Bulging battery. Good name. I'm not yelling at you. I'm just like it's not that simple. Okay, it's never that simple. And trust me, Republican or Democrat, if they're pushing for something and you can't figure out why, then that's the thing you have to investigate. Because if you can't figure out why and they're not explaining why they want to ban a certain thing in this country, it's probably going to adversely affect you while profiting them. I don't care what party you belong to. That is always been the truth. So I'll leave it at that, but I appreciate your comment. Okay. There is someone entering the Trump administration that blocked me on Twitter for asking questions about Browder before Trump was on the scene. we're going to do a whole thing on Browder. Trust me. Trust me. Here's a fun fact. This will get confusing for you. You guys remember Fusion GPS? The people that supposedly wrote the Trump dossier. Actually, Christopher Steele wrote the Trump dossier that Perkins Coie used. Fusion GPS was writing the political opposition research, and that was going to be the primary source part of it that they decided not to use in the final thing of it. And you could go back and watch the congressional hearing on this. That's Glenn Simpson's firm. Was Fusion GPS that was tracking down Bill Browder on behalf of Prevacing Group to serve them the subpoena and let Prevacing Group, which is a Russian-American company, defend these allegations by Bill Browder against them. That was actually Fusion GPS, who has been seen as the, strong arm of the left, but at the same time, Bill Browder is a darling of the left and is number one enemies with Fusion GPS. So I know the answers there. I just can't get into them. I got to look at what my NDAs say. So, but yeah. Okay. So plant sale pharma drug kills more. Totally. And if you go to dailyclout.io, you can read all about the Pfizer papers. Let me put that banner up there. See, this is my favorite part of the show when I totally don't care about what time it is and I just keep going. Feel free to go to bed anytime, people. I'm going to wrap this up soon. But yeah, now you got me rolling. There we go. Get your copy today, the Pfizer papers. dailyclout.io/Pfizer-papers. Yeah, when you read that, or you can read the reports on dailyclout.io if you don't want to buy the book, that's fine. But when you read those reports, it's not good. Let's leave it at that. I don't know if they're going to let this one stay on YouTube, but I really don't care. Okay, and then, yes, Plant Seal. I love this community, guys. I love the way you guys all interact with each other. Got to get more people on Rumble. Why are depression and anxiety so ubiquitous amongst the young, especially females? Send that question to my wife next time she's on. That's a great question. And actually, you know what? I'm going to screenshot that question because that's a great question. She actually has an answer for it. A lot has to do with birth control. A lot has to do with, a lot of these, like the birth control is definitely one. It turns, I don't know enough about it, so I'm not going to speak on it, but yes. Blue Wolf, okay. Regarding firearms, so many distractions at 100 miles per hour, but let's not forget the millions of dollars spent on ammo, supposedly for the IRS. Good point. All right, guys. So before I go, let me just talk about. I was so happy. We went to Lithuania and for a week. Then we went. She was there for 2 weeks. They wouldn't let me in for the first week. I had to. It's a long story. I'm on a few lists, but I finally got in, and we spent a week. I got to spend a week over there, and then we went to Oxford, and I was really, really not feeling great because I ran out of collagen. So that is a sponsor. I don't want to trick you into a pitch here, but I was so happy to get back to Brooklyn, and then I get to Brooklyn. Guess what? No collagen, because it was all used up. And so we basically what ended up happening was when I finally got here to Salem, Massachusetts, to our small place out here, I was just so happy because I found my giant jar of collagen from Native Path and a big bag of collagen, and I put collagen in everything. Okay, I'm 50 now, but you don't even need to be. And so one of our sponsors here is Native Path. Okay, and collagen has a million things. If you're not taking it, I highly recommend it. Most people don't get enough, but basically sourced from happy pasture-raised cows blend into 1 and 3 collagen to deliver the most rapid results. Good for your bones, joints, skin, hair, nails, and digestion. Really good for your hair. Trust me, my son doesn't make fun of my thinning hairline anymore because it's no longer thinning. I've been on the Native Path Challenge since the beginning of January, but I was taking it long before that. And this is definitely one of our sponsors. You can put it in coffee, you can put it in water. It has no taste. You won't even know it's there. Naomi actually put it in muffins, and it kind of worked as a good baking agent. So we put the collagen in everything. It's great. I make a shake every morning and mix it with milk. I've got the nighttime collagen that they have. Everyone should take collagen. All my aches and pains from travel went away instantly as soon as I flooded my body with collagen again. And never again am I leaving without my Native Path collagen. Let me put the banner up there. Let's see. Doesn't seem to help my eyesight though. Here we go. All right, so you see it right there. Get Native Path collagen. You get a huge discount with Daily Cloud, as you can see, 45% off. You cannot go wrong with this. Also, they have Native Hydrate, which is, when you wake up in the morning and you are totally thirsty and you just wish you had a Gatorade, this is better. What it is, the benefits include hydration, muscle function, energy production, post-workout recovery, lean muscle mass preservation. Native Hydrate combines 29 vitamins and minerals, essential amino acids, and BCAAs into one convenient scoop to maintain hydration, energy, and health. So I literally put this stuff actually I take some whiskey bottles because I like my bourbon. And that's it. I dump it in, shake it up. It doesn't clump. And it's so damn good. This is the peach mango flavor, but you could also get that at Native Path. So go check it out. And I want some of you to try this. Please use our codes, but if you forget to, that's okay, because I just want you to be healthy. But try this. Try getting the collagen, the hydrate, the bison pills from TWC, and the Bioptimizers magnesium, which is also another sponsor, which is and try those for 30 days and tell me how you feel. You're going to be amazed at the results. You literally feel like you did, if you're ever in fighting shape or anything like that. It's kind of it's amazing the amount of energy it gives you. It is amazing. And it's that kind of good energy too. Not that Snickers bar energy, more like steak energy all day long. And you sleep better. You look better. It's just, I love it. And I feel it when I was in Lithuania, especially because they're not really big on their fruit over there. I feel it when I don't have those things in my body. I feel myself withering. And I was literally I was researching okay, what kind of steak things can I get in Lithuania that are going to be full of collagen? So collagen, Native Hydrate, and the final one that I'll talk about helps me sleep. I sleep so well with this stuff, is Magnesium Breakthrough Bioptimizers. You go to bioptimizers.com/Daily Clout. I love Bioptimizers. They are so good. I never knew magnesium was even a thing. I kind of live by the seat of my pants, but just doing this show and having these sponsors that come to Daily Clout, and then Naomi says, "Hey Brian, can you talk about this on your show?" I do. And put them up as well. This stuff is amazing, and it sells. Easily our best-selling product on this show. We get a small portion. It's an affiliate relationship. So, but this Bioptimizers is amazing, and they kind of put in real time how much stuff they're selling all the time. Let me see here. So you can see here. Try to lessen that screen. But yeah, I'm very impressed with these people. I take 2 of these every night, and they just help me sleep so much better. I feel great with it. And this is the one thing I didn't run out of in Lithuania. But I will say, just last night, I didn't take magnesium, and I've been tired all day. It's really probably why I was late for this show. But they were saying over 80% of the population doesn't get the minimum amounts of type of magnesium they need from diet alone because U.S. soil lacks it. Magnesium deficiency can increase all disease risks and keep you from performing optimally. Even people who supplement tend to take types that are poorly absorbed, and they only take 2 types of magnesium at most. Each type benefits different tissues and organs. I've actually never read this before, so I'm glad I am. If you're only taking 1 or 2 forms, you're most likely still deficient. Bioptimizers Magnesium Breakthrough is the only supplement, and that is true, on the market that offers the full spectrum of all 7 types of magnesium, specially formulated to reach every cell in your body. You can read the rest, but it's there. Check it out. It's amazing stuff. This is like a super supplement. That's what I call it. And always, they can't keep it on the shelves. And this is a really great company. We love working with them. So try it. Try, what do we call this? I don't know. Investigate everything challenge. Like, try Native Hydrate, try collagen, and try Magnesium Breakthrough. And the wellness companies, Trifecta Bison Pills. And tell me how you feel. Like, literally, like, who knows? Maybe they'll even make you like a promoter yourself, like if you want to do a YouTube video of it. But it is amazing how I feel. And you don't know how you feel until you don't feel that way. And 5 days in Lithuania without any of this stuff, I really felt the difference, and I could not wait to get it. I found a few ways to source it as best I could, but it just wasn't the same. So getting back finally a few days ago here, I was like, boom. And I literally think it's why I didn't have to get up and go to do a lot of prep for the show, and it just felt sluggish. And again, I feel alive again, so it's great. So check them all out. All our sponsors rock. They really do. And there's going to be more because we rock and you guys rock. And I cannot thank you enough for coming out and hanging out with me and listening to me talk with no sound again for 40 minutes. Let me get these last few comments. Okay, good question. Not exactly. Not much. How much plants? Body requires vitamin G. Yes. And do you know that there's vitamin C in the bison pills? They have everything in them. And, of course, I take vitamin C as well. No sleep till Brooklyn. There's actually a coffee called that in Brooklyn. It's really good coffee. And 1775 is coming back as a sponsor of all of Daily Clout. They used to just be Unrestricted Invasion with me and JJ Carroll, but I don't have it in front of me. But when they come back, 1775 Coffee is awesome, and it's the funniest website in the world. You'll love that coffee. All right, so I want to make sure we just kind of summarize what we talked about. We've been going for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Look at this. I love this. Man, I got the best audience in the world. Look at everyone helping each other out. In general, folks should be taking... yes, and actually, Blue Wolf, I know his background now, and he actually knows. Vitamin C Daily, 1000. Yep, he's absolutely right. Absolutely right. And wouldn't you know it, Blue Wolf, you can find great types of vitamin C at the wellness company, dailyclouthealth.com. So, guys, let's cutting over. We're not done with this. But remember, I'm going to end it on this, okay? So, did you guys ever see Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? You guys remember that one? Well, one of the major people, influencers pushing this stuff out there, who claims he's not really involved, is a guy named Alex Winter. Okay. So remember there was Keanu Reeves. I forgot which one was Bill and Ted. Then there was the blonde kid, right? He was also in the Lost Boys. So Alex Winter is one of the major big voices, or big pushing this stuff, these protests. So what's great about that is that Alex Winter very helpfully put out this Blue Sky post where he listed all of the different groups, which made it super, super easy to start, looking at this. And this is an article he appeared in called Inside EVs. Interesting that publication wanted to interview Alex Winter, okay, because I got to figure out now who runs Inside EVs. But they gave this kid a lot of page room. It's a big article. So I'll put that I'm going to drop that in the Rumble chat right now so the Rumbleers have it. Okay. Tons of leads there. But I just want to say this, okay? It's not going to go over as well as I wanted, but that's okay. It's not a comedy show. But do you remember, okay, in the chat, if you're listening, do you remember what the main line? Now, considering that they're lighting freaking Tesla places on fire, shooting at them, there's mom and dads and stuff that work there. People have jobs. and Elon Musk is that's his business. There's better ways to disagree. It's not gonna, and by the way, Tesla Takedown numbskulls, it's not gonna make a difference. Really, the only one that loses on this one is you. You're gonna lose time. You're gonna lose liberty, especially when your asses get thrown in jail. And I have a feeling this is the one president that will probably put you in jail for a long, long time. So what I say to that is, keep doing what you're doing, but this is not the Biden era anymore. You will go to jail, and trust me, if you are any of the people I see in this picture, you're not going to fare well there. I wouldn't fare well there. Alex Winter certainly won't. But let's not forget the line from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Be excellent to each other. Well, I guess he was just acting. So I'll leave it at that. We'll do a part 2 soon. Again, you can always reach out to me at brian@dailyclout.io. Blue Wolf, give me a nudge tomorrow. I'll get back to you. I will reach out to you. I'll always reach back, so as much as I can, unless you're a crazy person. If you're a crazy person, I'll just put you in the spam box. But if you have something legit leads, everything like that, I look at all that stuff. I can't always get it on the show because it's just me, but I look at all of it. Oh, and there's one more thing too. By all means, when you are thinking of, what you can do to help, one thing that would really help me, as much as you can, and you don't have to, but right there, I put the little coffee cup up. You can scan that, and that goes to my Give, Send, Go account. Give a nickel, give a dollar, give whatever you can. I am rolling out tomorrow to a couple of these protests. I pay for all the gas myself. I pay for all the equipment myself, and I will probably pay for my own hospital bills should I get thumped if the VA can't cover them. So anything you can give really helps me make it better, get you better information, and maybe even get some of you out in the field. So if you have the wherewithal, go and scan that little coffee cup there. That goes to my Give, Send, Go. Give what you can, and if you can't give, that is fine too. You're here, and that means a lot to me. As long as you're sharing this stuff out with people, and as long as you are doing something. We are in the middle of this war. These battles are going to get worse. If you thought BLM was bad, if you thought 2021, 2022, those were bad, you ain't seen nothing yet. The fact that they've started these protests with guns and Molotov cocktails should be a key indicator to you that this is going to get nasty, and it's going to get really nasty right away because we've got the midterms coming up, and they need to do whatever they can to keep people like Donald Trump from holding office, because we've lanced their boil and they don't like it. And these people will fight until they die or are imprisoned. So gear up, get your bodies healthy, get your minds healthy, get smart, get educated, and figure out what you can do. We can't sit back just because Donald Trump got in. We have to actually go out and do things. And I put my money where my mouth is. I get out there, and I'm going to get out there even more now than I did prior to 2024, because this is serious. And if they get away with these Tesla type things, God knows what else they're going to start, like firebombing our churches and our communities. Can't let that happen, and there's just not enough law enforcement, not enough people in the Trump administration to do all this for us. So the more we can do to get them information or get the right people information that will help their investigations go even faster, we have to do that. If you need help knowing where to direct your skills and talents, always reach out to me, and I will give you my opinion. Whether that's right or wrong, I'll give you my opinion, but let's get this information out and let's unmask all these people. Some of them are unwitting, some of them are witting, but if they're out there and they're hurting people, they're not just doing a legal protest, sorry, they need to go down, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, I like it. Yes, well said. Stand up or go home. That's right. If you're not here to fight, as me and JJ say, if you're not here to fight, get out of the way. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to try to heading out to a protest tomorrow. I'll let you know where that is after the fact. I haven't decided which one I'm going to yet, but there's plenty to choose from. And bring in a lot of cameras. I will have a camera set up in my car to do wide angle for context, and I'll let you know how that goes. And if you don't hear from me, don't worry, I'm always late. but I promise to turn on my mic next time if that was the problem. So thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it. Even the people I don't agree with, you are always welcome here, because I'd rather have people I don't agree with coming on here and, calmly stating their opinions rather than throwing a Molotov cocktail at my porch. So, I appreciate all the people that came on here, even the people I didn't agree with. You guys have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow. All right. Take care of each other, and actually be excellent to each other, even though our friend here, Alex Winter, seems to have forgotten that advice. So I'll leave it at that. You guys have a great night.